Left side. It's too late to apologize.
Tell us in the chat. Can you hear us?
Left
Can you
side,
feel
left
that?
side, left side.
Can you feel it?
Can you feel it now? How do I
Hey.
make you love me?
Hey.
How do I make you love me? Is it too late? Gasoline.
Babo. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the OurThoughts podcast. We got a lot of stuff planned for you. Obviously, this is the farewell to the Dawn FM era stream. So say what's up. Hello, everybody.
What's up,
in the
everyone?
chat. But yeah, man.
We here. Hello, everyone in the chat. Nice to see y'all. Like Cesco said, I know y'all have been waiting for this. We got the After Hours tour shirt on. Man, this has been a little bit like, I guess, a long. Sorry, my little mic fell, but a little bit of a long time waiting. I guess maybe we just didn't want to say goodbye, or didn't want to accept that the era really was over.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because now we can kind of do the thing we all love, which is look back and be nostalgic on what we had, and appreciate everything that was, and hopefully look forward to what will be with this next Weeknd project. But yeah, man, welcome to a farewell to the Dawn FM era, the stream.
Man. Talking about it like it's like a past relationship. I love it.
Yeah.
First of all, everybody, shout out to Matthew David's older brother, whose birthday is tomorrow.
Hey.
Biggest hero in his life, inspired a lot of his musical taste. Man, that's really dope that you. Who was for you, Matt? Who was the person that you feel like inspired your musical taste, or a lot of you?
Yeah. In the beginning, my dad for sure. My dad, he put
Dang.
me on to the oldies. In fact, I kind of not outgrew, but my taste definitely evolved past what he likes. But man, he was the original, like, music. I don't know. Do we like people who just like music? What do we call them? Music heads? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
just he was just really into music.
Audiophiles.
I guess yeah. Well, he's an audiophile now for sure with his whole hi-fi, vinyl setup. Um, but yeah, man, he put me on to. I listened to a lot of Elvis, a lot of Beatles, The
Mhm.
Police, Duran Duran, a bunch of those '80s kind of UK import bands. Is what I started on.
Mm,
U2, The Who, all that.
love that.
But yeah, but since then I got he also introduced me to rap though. I will say I can't discount that. You know, like
Mm.
OG West Coast rap, man, like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg,
Oh shit. Damn.
NWA, which is kind of funny. But yeah, my dad loves NWA. Um, but yeah, but I know your dad had a whole record shop though. Like he distributed the music.
He was a dealer. I was
Yeah.
gonna say Papa Magnus. You asking Papa Magnus? What does NWA mean? But yeah, no, my dad.
It means never walk alone. It's just really
Yes.
it's a PSA for how to cross the street.
Right, for right, especially like on college campuses, never walk
Uh-huh.
alone,
Uh-huh.
all that stuff. Yeah, no, my dad actually did own a record shop called Planet Pinoy, full
Goated name.
Filipino with it,
Goated name.
and there would be, and legitimate like Filipino celebrities like singers, artists would come through and have little meet and greet sessions, and there's a picture of me and one of my mom's favorite Filipino artists, Sarah Geronimo, like she's holding me, and I'm just like, oh,
Wow.
definitely save that photo for in the next couple of years because
Yeah.
I feel like that'll be like a nice flex. But no, it was really cool. Unfortunately, it was in like a kind of a shady area. We used to live in a shady area, so we got robbed once, and my dad was like,
Oof,
I'm
that's
good.
it.
I'm
That's a
good.
wrap.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. So, yeah, no, I definitely feel like it's pretty cool that we both share that in common. Our fathers, putting us on, and also I don't know,
Definitely.
like there's definitely like an aspect of that where I'm like, that it was like since an early age I was just around music. Like I'll never forget walking down the aisles, flipping
Yeah.
through the CDs, going into the little room where you put the CD on the headphones and you just listen, vibe out.
Sick.
Like good times, man.
Good times. But
Um,
it kind of went full circle now cuz now you put your dad on to the weekend and now he's the biggest fan. So you're over here giving him recommendations.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a great segue into our farewell to Don FM because I will say this, going into this Don FM era, um, this was the first time my dad liked After Hours, some records off After Hours, but this album was the one that
Yeah.
convinced him like, okay, he's everything I believe in at
Yeah.
this
He's
moment at the
him. He's
moment.
him.
He's
Yes.
he's real XO certified now, and he really like is going into like After Hours and Beauty Behind the Madness. But no, so Dawn FM, the Dawn FM era. Uh,
Man.
where
I mean,
where do we?
let's just
We'll
I'll
start with this.
okay, I'll give a little call to action in the chat, and then we can start with ourselves, just so we can get a conversation going.
Oh,
But yeah, in terms of Dawn FM era, I already see people putting in their opinions about the era itself. But go ahead and leave in the chat some of your favorite moments from Dawn FM. Something maybe y'all want us to talk about that maybe we haven't talked about. I think kind of towards the
mhm.
latter half of the Dawn FM era, there were things happening. We talk about them. We wouldn't really go into depth, but now's the time.
This is the time.
Yeah.
This is the
So
time.
yeah, let us know. I saw someone said they might have liked On FM era more than After Hours. Maybe you're the opposite. Let us know in the chat. But yeah, man, let's get started on how you want to dive into what we have been experiencing with Abel. This journey we've been on the past 2 years now? A year?
2 years. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Yes, top of 2021, and I want to start off as broad as possible, and then we'll just kind of snake our way through in
for
because this
sure,
is
for
gonna
sure.
be we're gonna try to do this whole discussion justice. I know you guys love the farewell to After Hours video, because we got into so much stuff. And we're gonna try to do the same here. Obviously, we can't play the music videos, but here, unlike on playback. But nah, let's get into this discussion. Starting off again as broad as possible. Describe how you feel about Don FM, the Don FM era, in one word, and then we will go into it with a million other words. But just starting off now, one word.
For me, I mean, probably the same words that Abel uses, universe, like full sonic universe across multiple platforms. I mean, that's many words, but universe, or world building, if I can do a hyphenated two-parter. Yeah, man, I mean, Dawn FM, well, with After Hours, it was kind of the start of that, It was more of like a prologue, or like the origin story. And then with Dawn FM, it's like, oh, well, here's the entire sonic landscape, from the music videos to the live performance, or the Amazon listening party that happened the night that the album dropped, to the Dawn FM or After Hours till Dawn FM tour. Like, so much went into building how big this vision was. In terms of how it felt, I would say it felt at times almost hell-like a new hellscape, kind of similar to Kissland was sort of its own hellscape. With Kissland, it was kind of draped in the neon lights and rain of Tokyo. With Dawn FM, it's the hell, imagery of like purgatory and shit like that. And other times it was also like very triumphant, which is a note that I feel like The Weeknd really hasn't been able to achieve at that level than probably at any other point besides maybe like the Super Bowl moment, but even I'm talking about Less Than Zero, like just hearing that release at the end, it's like, holy shit. So it definitely felt like a journey, a cinematic journey, a triumphant moment for The Weeknd, and a full-fledged universe. That's how I would describe it.
You know how I describe it as intense, sexy, graphic. No.
Total comatose snooze fest.
Yeah. Jose had an interesting word to describe it. Matthew Magnus.
True. Okay. That's facts.
Very
Jose.
true. I love that. Yeah. I mean, you said it, I think, perfectly in terms of describing what Dawn FM is in the context of the After Hours trilogy. Man, like After Hours, just like threw us into this world, this story, this character piece, and then it ends with him dying, and then all of a sudden you're like, and that begs the question, like, where do we go from here? He just died. And looking back at it, you're like, After Hours couldn't have been a better setup, couldn't have ended it in a better way to set up the next album. Because now we get to do everything that they do in Dawn FM, and that's why for me, my word to describe Dawn FM is thoughtful, like very thoughtful, and very, like, everything is very pointed. And obviously you can enjoy the album at surface level, out of time, radio friendly, Less Than Zero, throwback, timeless record. You could go down the list, Take My Breath, Sacrifice, all that stuff. But then if you put it in the context of like the story of the album, and then in the story of After Hours, and then in the story of The Weeknd's discography, it just keeps getting more and more layered. And I think that's what I really love about it, is that I read this about, and I've mentioned this a bunch of times, but I read this about a Jordan Peele movie where it's like you put in as much as you want from it, like, or what is it, you take from it as much as you put in. So if you want to go read into all the imagery, if you want to read into all the symbolism, if you want to look at all the lyrics that reference the Abel verse, like, you can do that and you can enjoy it. Or if you just want to listen to the album at surface value, you could do that as well. It's going to be a good listen, all that stuff. But yeah, man, with that being said, let's see, just kind of going over some of the basic backstory of the album. It's very much a concept album. The album is, as he says, is a radio station that plays as people are kind of making their way from purgatory into the light, which is something I definitely want to get into, is like that arc, which is really cool. But and he also mentioned in an interview that After Hours was the album the fans wanted him to make, Dawn FM was the album that The Weeknd has always wanted to make. Now, with all that being said, what do you think about the? What did you think about the concept? Is this, in my opinion, this might be the coolest concept that has ever been in a Weeknd album. But also, it's like, what do you think that kind of nicheness kind of affected how people digested the album
Hmm.
and kind of how polarizing it is, if that's the word.
Yeah, no, that's one thing. I think polarizing definitely is the word. I think that's what a lot of people felt when Don FM first dropped. I think because it was such a conceptual album. Similar to how there are some people who don't like Kissland and there's some people who love Kissland. It's really up to you if you want to like dive in and really be part of the concept, be part of the world. For me, I really do love the fact that Dawn FM is a like concept through and through. I think that's what the biggest difference is between Dawn FM and After Hours. I mean, not that I mean After Hours definitely had a very strong concept, but it was mainly like kind of an aesthetic. It's that first leap
Mm.
into the 80s. He had that Joker suit on, and he was kind of just following that, just staying on that vibe the whole time. And I mean, granted, it was amazing, and he was able to kind of just like create some of the best pop R&B mixed music that we've had in years, changing the entire landscape. But then he was like, how do I take that one step further? Oh, let me just make an entire narrative concept album from that and go even deeper. So I think it's really and that's where I see where he kind of brings up like, oh, After Hours is the album the fans wanted me to make, which is the more like the whole image of the Weeknd finally coming to fruition to like full, like we are past demon time, with After Hours. It's full serial killer, like uh like psycho crazy Joker time, like that's how much of
Yeah.
a menace he is running through the city. um and then with Dawn FM, it was really the Weeknd finally looking back on all that. So like I feel like
Yeah.
that's what he meant, like, oh, this is what I want to make, like in terms of his character of the Weeknd having that full arc. um so which is dope. I feel like he even though he says that Dawn FM is the album he's always wanted to make and After Hours is the album the fans wanted to make, it's still cool for the fans to just see that journey between both albums either way. In fact, I might argue that Dawn FM is even more for the fans, like for those type of fans who are there for
Mm.
the narrative, who are there for the Weeknd lore, and have been following what he's been doing, us included. Exactly. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think going into that, I was reading a couple articles reviewing the album, and there's an interesting one from I say their name uh, dismissingly, Pitchfork,
Mm.
disgusting. But they did have an interesting point here. They said,
Not as bad as
uh,
Rolling Stone. Mm.
oh, they're relevant.
They're relevant.
Have 6 million bots. Right?
Nothing for
uh,
Jocelyn. All for Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Nothing for us.
They're mentioning, not impressed. They're mentioning, they mentioned one line from Every Angel is Terrifying. Beauty is the terror we endure. And they're talking about how that could be kind of a thesis for the Weeknd's work as in general. How a
Hmm.
lot of what, I think of Beauty Behind Madness,
Yeah.
where the the beauty and chaos kind of like lead into each other, like you can't have one without the other. Eventually something beautiful will turn into something that's terrifying,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually something that's terrifying will eventually turn into something beautiful if you just stick with it. And I think that is kind of describes what I was alluding to before, and what you were discussing is like, if you're looking into the lore and if you're looking into the character of the Weeknd, like the arc this album goes through, starting off in that disco from Purgatory, starting off like back like we never left from the
Mm-hmm.
After Hours era. Like, okay, we're just, what happens after we die? We get thrown into Gasoline, which, by the way, before I get into it, Gasoline, very interesting record to kind of like throw ourselves into.
Right.
The second record, like, what do you remember? What was your first reaction to Gasoline? Because
Yeah.
I know for me, I was like, I'm here for the '80s stuff, but like, my God, I was put off for sure. Like, English accent,
Right.
5 a.m. my time again, all
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I was definitely like, like what is I was like, what is this voice? You know, like it was definitely off-putting at first, which is, I don't know, pretty sick. You know, honestly, like looking back, like that's a bold move. You know,
Very bold.
to go that route of theatrical and really just commit to the 80s aesthetic. And I mean, knowing where that came from, I think it was very much in line with like kind of that UK or German electronic music back in the 80s, electronic dance music, and that's just how their voices sounded, and he just was like,
Yeah.
let me just put that, you know, that same accent on, you know, similar to like Drake all of a sudden being Jamaican, you know, out of nowhere. Like he was just like, yeah, it sounds cool, I'll just do it, you know. Of course he did it way better, but yeah, it was a choice. Looking back, I'm like, that's iconic though. Like that song still is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean it throws you into that nightclub, and I think as you go into when you watch like the Dawn FM experience on Amazon, you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and like I said, it throws you into that nightclub. Then you go into How Do I Make You Love Me, Take My Breath, Sacrifice. Like those records are
That
literally
run
like
is crazy.
you're in that mosh pit, you
Yeah.
know. Which was really cool, and like I said, it's like Back Like You Never Left, and then A Tale by Quincy happens, and to me that's like the turning point of the whole album because
Mm-hmm.
you know, then you get A Tale by Quincy Jones, of course, legendary producer for artists like Michael Jackson. um there's some other artists I'm thinking of, but I can't remember. Barry White,
Mm-hmm.
and he mentions, you know, like how a lot of his past transgressions and mistakes were due to a root cause of a lack of motherhood, a lack of a maternal presence in his life. Um, so then you go into the rest of the album, and I feel like the Weeknd's character kind of moves in a different way throughout the rest of the album. Obviously, Out of Time is, you know,
Totally.
him looking back on all the times he had with a certain somebody, and is just like, damn, like if I go back, all that stuff, uh, you know, what am I talking about? Best Friends is
Mm-hmm.
like a typical. It's like the structure of a typical Weekend song where it's like, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship. Like we're so secure in that it doesn't have to be a boyfriend girlfriend thing, but that kind of awareness of it, I think, is different. You know, the fact that
Yeah.
he's like sick of he doesn't even bother trying to hide his lack of, you know, that kind of vulnerability. Here we go again, obviously, the awareness there. And I heard you're married. Even I heard you're married, I think, is an interesting record, which you know, we can get into features in a bit. But I heard you're married is interesting because, again, it's like that typical, you think it's gonna go one way of like, oh, I heard you're married, but we're gonna do it anyways. But instead he goes like, I'm way too grown for that deceiving.
Right.
You know, like you get lines like that where you're like, like this is a different Weekend than I've seen before. He's a little sick of the Weekend ways. So no, and then that goes into Less Than Zero, which is like a full on acceptance, catharsis. Like I feel like the release of that song comes from the fact that he's done hiding that. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, this shit is bad. You know, like it's what makes me bad. Like I'm accepting of that, and I'm not even gonna try to hide like that. I'm a good person, and I don't know. Maybe that will potentially lead to something in the next album. Like, you know, the what is it? Awareness is the first step of
Right.
something is the
Of
first step of
acceptance.
grief. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I definitely agree. I think there is a big turning point, and the whole vibe of the album changes at that point. But I mean, I will say though, the first half of that record is a strong first half. I could, I don't know, man. I mean, this might be a hot take, but it might
Yeah.
be more hype in terms of just like, whoa, we were in this world, and a stronger kickoff than After Hours does.
Wow.
Obviously, you know, Alone Again is fire. Like that's one of his best intro tracks. But then you kind of get like Scared to Live and like Too Late, and we already kind of go into the R&B shit. But like, nah,
Yeah.
like not Gasoline, in Down FM, he just lives in that machine techno, you know, gasoline covered, slick, chromed out, you know, disco in Purgatory, and he lives in there for like 4 or 5 tracks, and that's, I mean, that alone is what sets Donovan apart. For
Yeah,
me at
and that
least.
first
Yeah,
half, I was
yeah,
just gonna say, sorry, that first half of that album goes by like that. Like by the time you get
right,
to Here We
right.
Go Again, you're like, oh shit, like I'm halfway through the album,
Yeah, exactly.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I do wish there was at least one more track on the on Dawn of Him right before Less Than Zero. I felt like it could have used like just one more moment, one more solo like weekend song before we got into Less Than Zero. Um,
Yeah,
and because since the last song is like Phantom Regret, which isn't a song. Um, but
yeah.
yeah, that's but that
You
yeah
know what?
exactly that first half is crazy.
Let's go into that a little bit. That was, I feel like that's kind of the elephant in the room is like
Mm.
what was missing from this era. You know, there were kind of like a flurry of tweets being thrown at the weekend recently, like, "Oh, why don't you like Don FM? Do you hate Don FM?
Yeah, yeah,
Why
yeah,
aren't you
yeah.
giving it the same love that After Hours did?" And he kind of defended himself. He's like, "No, like, look, like I gave you guys maybe like one less music video than After Hours. I gave you guys a bunch of, you know, live performances, like
The
the Don FM
tour,
experience, all that
yeah.
stuff, the tour, a bunch of different stuff." So you mentioned that was one thing I was definitely gonna mention is like I would have liked one more song, like a
Mm-hmm.
ballad or something in between I Heard You're Married and Lesson Zero. Um, Again, another elephant in the room. The Lesson Zero music video, I think,
Yep.
is much needed. Blue Ball Award of the Year
Yep.
winner. I also feel like but just besides that, let's moving beyond Lesson Zero, I feel like the music videos needed a more definitive end. You know,
Yeah.
we were doing a playback watch of like all the music videos, and you know, as we were going through it, we are like, I see where it's going, gasoline into sacrifice into whatever was next, out of time, how do I make you love me, and then after how do I make you love me, I think is where things kind of like go like, whoa, where are we going here? Because I think it's then uh, chat, go ahead and correct me if not, but I feel like it goes from how do I make you love me into is there someone else? Like
Mm-hmm.
there was like a big time, and then it went into is there someone else, and then that's kind of like it for the Dawn FM music
Yeah.
videos. Kind
Yeah.
of like wait, like how, like what does this mean in the
Yeah. Yeah.
for the
I would
you
say
know?
that's definitely. I mean, apart from what I mentioned about the track list, I think, and the lack of Less Than Zero music video, I think that's one thing I put After Hours over Dawn FM for sure. Is a narrative, a very clear narrative through line with After Hours. There was, the reveal of the character. Obviously, with the blinding lights, all the stuff that's happening in Vegas was like so freaking, it was so iconic, and like he lives in that universe for at least 2 to 3 music videos. And then we have the Alone Again, um or maybe it was the After Hours like film or something like that, where he's in the metro station, and like he's like obviously a murderer. And then you have like the horror movie one, with In Your Eyes, uh
Yeah.
yes, where he
Hmm.
gets his like head chopped off, and like all this stuff. And then the Too Late music video, which was in, like super creepy one with like the crazy looking girls with the botched nose jobs and stuff. And like,
Right.
and then I think it was, and then Until I Bleed Out, which shows his death, and he kind of is crawling into the desert into the sun, which will then pick up obviously right where we left off with the Take My Breath music video. So that felt like
Hmm.
a absolute perfect narrative. Like I think I remember when we were going over those music videos, I'm like, if you just like line these up back to back in one long video, like that's a short film, like that is
Yeah.
full on a movie straight up. So that I think created so much more personal, just so much more depth to the After Hours era for me. Where with Dawn FM, exactly like you said, it was like all of a sudden we're kind of getting these music videos that don't really further the narrative of the album at all. We get the whole like with the old man versus Abel, and like he sees him, and like with like the gasoline music video, and there's like the evil versions of the people down below and the people above, and like there's so much imagery and motifs and stuff for us to dissect. But then the more music videos we got, I mean, I guess the Is There Someone Else, is like that's the animated one, right?
Is there, that was the How Do I Make You Love
Or How
Me,
Do I Make You
which I
Love Me?
think I think that was where I was like, okay, I see where they're going with it. You know,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
Babel theory was on point, but
yeah.
and then it's like, him shaving off the mask
The
that we would
mask.
see on the
Yeah.
tour, which was maybe representing like the fake Weekend, and we could see Abel,
Shedding
but
of the
then
old self type thing. Yeah.
that kind of thing. And then it went to Is There Someone Else, which is like, all right, I have the mask back on, where I'm watching myself in this intimate moment with this girl, and I don't. And then it just kind of ends like with him
Yeah,
running over to
and
see
then
the
we have
girl,
like, Out of Time, which is just like him and the Squid Games girl flirting and singing, karaoke, and then we have the last music video, which is him kind of like spying on that girl through the blinds and whatever. It's like it wasn't really anything to like uh, give us any hint as to like which path he took. I see this comment in the chat right now from Nick. Says he is in purgatory, therefore purgatory is all about no
Yeah,
direction. Definitely valid. But I understand that like a lot of it was super like we don't know what's happening. There's a lot that was not explained to us on purpose. Again, it's purgatory, like you said, but there could have at least been something, a crumb even, to lead us into where he ended up after purgatory. Like it was all about going into
yeah,
the light. Did he go to heaven or somewhere else? Like so then that could have
yeah.
been literally just a crumb for us to like be like, okay, this is what we could expect the approach for the next album, which is what After Hours gave us. But this one was definitely more, we kind of just stayed in one place and reminisced about the same themes a lot, where I wish we saw some sort of evolution or some sort of like, okay, there is going to be something more.
I agree and disagree in certain aspects. I think we got to see a couple different themes like drugs, Take My Breath,
Mm-hmm.
love in Out of Time, all that stuff. And so and for me, I agree like it didn't go anywhere necessarily, but I thought of it as more like anthologized stories,
Okay.
of this Weekend character, and I feel like this whole thing, and I goes going into my next thing that I wish. This is all wishful thinking. This is all fun and games. This isn't actually us like critiquing the Weekend, like, oh, we should have done this. But I really, really, really feel like a lot of this what we're doing right now. Let's be honest. We're picking of nits. We're nitpicking.
Yes.
Um, would have been a nice "Here We Go Again" music video, where we see like, okay, he's been going through this for like an eternity, and like maybe we just
mm.
see like
Mm.
him like I think of like the Sorry Not Sorry music video where you see five different Tylers, all kind of
That's
adding their
cool.
own different spin. Imagine like Here We Go Again, and you see, I don't know, like six different versions of Don FM Abel going through their journeys, their transgressions, and just like failing completely. And then maybe at the end he's like, okay, maybe I'll try something different and breaking that cycle, and then maybe we go into lesson zero where he's like, all right, like I'm aware of myself.
Yeah,
I
you've
can I
broken
can finally
free.
try to break. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. That's where if I was the creative director of the Weekend, that's where I would have gone with that. I feel like that would have solved a lot of people's kind of hesitancy, and maybe would have hopefully bolstered the
Mm-hmm.
Don FM era a little bit more. But no, man, I definitely think, but also a lot of what you said is valid too, where the whole thing about After Hours was, to me, this era ending on Is There Someone Else is like ending on the Too Late music video for After Hours,
Mm.
where it's this kind of weird sidetrack, interesting story that's being told, some cinematography, choices that are interesting, and then imagine if that was just like the last music video we got, where the Weeknd's face is being written by two girls in
Right.
a house, and that's just all we get.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we don't get that sense of finality to the Weeknd character in say like Until I Bleed Out. So
That yeah, I could
that's
see
yeah,
that. I think maybe, but though I could see that also being intentional. I think that character had to die for us to enter purgatory. You know what I mean? Where like
yeah,
there had to be a certain end to that era or just that version of him to go into the Don FM version. Um, but that leads me to think like I really don't know where he could go next from this. I do know that it has to be obviously a certain a follow up to everything that he's been setting up. But I guess I can kind of pose this question to you in like the chat is that one, what do you think the post Don FM sound is going to be? But also, do you think it will be as kind of connected as Don FM is to After Hours, or do you think it's going to be its own standalone, like I feel like for the Weeknd, After Hours was his like like almost like a clean slate, you know what I mean, or just like that break that was such an obvious jump, you know, in genre quality song making. Do you think it will be just this last, not last ditch, but just like ultimate final Weeknd album, or will it be like a final chapter where it's like, hey, this is how far we've come. Let's just you know, fade out nicely, and so I can look back at this new trilogy.
I mean, that's the whole thing. I feel like is like, yeah, will it be? Is it the end of the Weeknd as we know him?
Right.
I think so. I think I've gotten the feeling that I feel like he may be a little bit tired of like the Weeknd, that the whole like expectations that come with a Weeknd album is like you're expecting some kind of and all the kind of you know, like think of like Drake, how he has to do in one album he has to cover rapping, singing, you know, the bars, but also like the hits and the pop stuff. I feel like the Weeknd maybe is kind of getting a little tired of all that expectation, so he wanted to end off on a high, which is the After Hours trilogy. Let me just give you everything this Weeknd character has to offer, in three different aesthetics. You know, obviously we've gotten the hellish Vegas vibe, we've gotten Dawn FM Purgatory, and now, and yeah, and so you also asked about the sound of the next album, and the OTP Spaces gang. I see Aiden in here was talking about. We were discussing a little bit about how I feel like it could be a little bit more leaning into like the space alien vibes. Like imagine just like obviously we're still rolling with Babel, and it'd be interesting if the album cover was just like Baby Abel,
baby alien
but also
Abel.
but also it'd be interesting if it was like the Weeknd, a portrait of the Weeknd, but like as an alien or something, like because that seems to be a lot of the vibe that we're getting from the like Instagram stories from like the producers, like Mike Dean himself. I think I forget if it's like actual confirmation or quotes or something, but someone said it's like they're watching aliens and sci-fi tech futuristic stuff, but you know, leading into, you know, 423, Mike Dean's album, all that stuff, which, you know, we'll talk about in a bit. But it would be really cool if maybe that's what his idea of you know, the afterlife is, or horizon is, you know, this transcendental futuristic techno space thing, like really leaning into that, because and it would add a little bit of like a bit of finality to this whole the sonic kind of through line of this whole After Hours trilogy, which is that 80s synth. You know, it's been repurposed to fit each aesthetic, so having it be like some sci-fi space shit would just be I think would fit well for like a final like rendition of that synth sound. So that's kind of where I want live instruments in there as well. I want some live instrumentation. But honestly, I don't think we're getting that, unfortunately. I don't know. How about you? Is there? Let's see. I'll check out the chat. But do you have any on that?
I would love for it to follow how 426 or 423 sounded. The Mike Dean tape that just dropped last week. That I felt like he was kind of combining the vocals of After Hours and a little bit of like Beauty Behind the Madness, a little bit of Trilogy, with like what he was doing with his voice and the type and like kind of the lyrics, but coupling it with a hybrid of like After Hours and Dawn FM at the same time, which is like, oh my god, that's like the perfect, you know, combination. It's the perfect recipe for just like the ultimate like this is
Weekend
the
experience.
weekend, you
Yeah.
know, because it's like there's After Hours, which for sure, then there's Dawn FM, which is its own experience, but like just the culmination of everything. That would be sick. But you know, obviously that's the Mike Dean album. That's not the Weekend album, so he could be doing something completely different. But I would like to see him go into, and it might be alluding to this with like the alien imagery and shit, but like go into the future and do more futuristic sounds, not just throwback 80s synths. Now just start innovating today. You know, like sounds can you create new today that are still synthy and shit like that, and still and feel like a natural evolution of like Dawn FM. That would be cool. I feel like it's still cinematic. It's still like what he's trying to do. But I do think it will be connected, or at least will sound connected. I don't think it will be like its own like all of a sudden he's into his own new venture again. You know, like with After Hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So which makes sense because you know it's like he's on this vibe. Like might as well stay on it. For the last album. But yeah, do you have anything? What's the chat saying?
Yeah, a bit of someone said a bit of Mike Dean, Swedish House Mafia would be cool. That's kind of how I describe what like the double fantasy stuff
Mm-hmm.
was, was I think we had also mentioned Nick the Fish also says here Mike Dean sounds mixed with everything so far and probably more hard-hitting beats with trap production. Yeah, it's like that after hours synth stuff with the Starboy,
Right.
hard trap stuff. So no, man, like there's definitely a lot of Curry says here. I think it's gonna be connected. Could honestly sound like what he did on Mike Dean's album. Some '80s, some '90s vibes. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I also like what you said was like I would love the Weeknd just to create a new sound because
Yeah.
obviously he kind of he helped revitalize I think this new interest in like '80s music and kind of how it's making it pop. Like he kind of brought that back and I think now it'd be interesting for him to just like pay it forward a little bit. All
Mm-hmm.
right, what can you provide for us now? And because of that, I do think now that I feel like the table is a little bit swept clean a little bit. Now it's not so much how is he going to follow up After Hours, because he followed up After Hours with something completely different. I feel like now he has the chance to really like fuck shit up here,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know. It could be very interesting. I think Nick the Fish again, interesting point. The Weeknd has completely changed sounds within 1 year. Between Beauty Behind That Madness and Starboy. So,
Right. That's true. That's true.
you
That's
know,
true. You
I
you
think
never know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh
Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna switch gears a little bit. So if you had something to talk about with the sound and all that stuff, feel
Um.
free to.
No. Hold on, everyone. Jose has something important to say.
Okay. Okay. All right.
We're
Here we
waiting
go.
eagerly. If you type apple pie again,
You fucked this up. 1986. Pimp a Butterfly.
1986. Wait, what do you mean?
I
Wait,
hope. Are you talking
like
about?
like Taylor Swift? Oh
I was
man.
gonna say, are you referencing 1989,
um,
the album with blank spaces? My favorite Taylor Swift album. Um, it's
we're
tough.
not even
It's a
gonna get.
toughie.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you right now, it's 1989, best record ever made.
If we're
Brought
going off impact alone, if we're not talking about record sales, if we're just talking about impact,
impact alone.
it's 1989. Yeah.
1989, Taylor Swift really kind of brought us together during the Black Lives Matter movement and was the leader that we needed. The modern day MLK. So
Yeah, Shake It Off was an anthem for a lot of
just
parades and
shake it
and
off, you know.
yeah, just shake off the bad vibes.
Bad, just have a Pepsi. You know, that's just how.
Yeah. Hey, shout out Kendall Jenner as well.
Yeah, thank you for
Um,
that. Okay,
yeah,
switching
another thing
gears.
I wanted to discuss a little bit about going into the Don FM era that was a little different than After Hours. Features. We got
Yeah,
a couple. We got Tyler the Creator on Lil Wayne and Lil Wayne on I Heard You're Married. See, this kind of feeds into a little bit of our previous section was like, well, what else would you have wanted? I think it would have been really cool to see a female feature on this album, especially as we are
yeah,
going into like, okay, how how does the Weeknd view a lot of his past actions? I think having some kind of female on there to give some perspective and hold him accountable a little bit would have been an interesting moment. I think of like the obvious one I think of was like replace Lil Wayne, get Ariana Grande on I Heard You're Married. Let's have some upbeat
Yeah,
Weekend Ariana vibes on here. Because
bruh, please.
I did find that Lil Wayne feature super disappointing. It was just kind of it's fun or whatever, but I don't like it. Like it's one of the few things on a Weekend album that I actively like am not a fan of. But I don't know. How do you feel about the
Hmm.
features we got on this album?
I don't like either of them, honestly. Not even the Tyler one, bro. Like the bars are so
Mm-hmm.
weak. I'm sorry.
Kind of basic.
Super basic, especially Lil
Yeah.
Wayne. Like, what is it? It's like he's your husband, no hubcap, like whatever.
Yeah, tell your husband I'm gonna kill him, no hubcap.
Like what? Like come on. And
I
then
disagree. I love that bar. That's like what
yeah,
I needed more of that. I needed more of that because Lil Wayne in the 2000s, like he would just get the craziest shit off,
yeah,
and I needed more of that.
yeah,
But he just didn't do that for me for whatever reason.
yeah. And like Tyler, he didn't really even belong on this project, honestly. Like it just didn't suit him at all, in my opinion. I feel like he should have had just someone else hop on that track, a singer, honestly. I feel like or Future. Like Future's really the only other rapper I think can go toe to toe, head to, and like Travis Scott can really play off a Weekend record. At least especially ones that he's making now that are so like synth heavy, trap, inspired. It's like that's not Tyler at all. So um different. So but yeah, I mean, not to like do the whole J. Cole, 2014 Forest Hill Drive thing, but he After Hours platinum with no features. Like he really didn't
Yeah.
need features in my opinion. But if he were to have them, it should have been all female for sure. Lana Del Rey, put Ariana back on there,
Your
um,
girl.
and I mean the only one male feature I would have accepted. I mean y'all already know, probably Ed Sheeran.
Hey, my man Ed Sheeran beat the
Beat the.
case. He beat the
Let's
man.
let's have
Shout
a
out.
moment, for our boy. He did not. He beat the man. He's not locked up. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that mugshot?
Oh my God. Ed Sheeran. Oh my God, bro. Him and he'd probably smile in his mugshot. He's a sicko like
Yeah,
Bruno Mars.
dude. Thank
Remember
he
Bruno
he
Mars'
beat it.
mugshot?
Oh yeah, yeah. He was still
Yeah.
off the coke.
Hey, hey,
Um,
shout out to Ed Sheeran beating the system.
yes,
He threatened retirement if he lost, but fortunately, can't keep a good man down. Shout out to the goat Ed Sheeran.
yes. He always wins, bro. Real music always wins. Sorry, Marvin Gaye, but
Yeah,
thank God, bro. I really that really would have been unfortunate.
yeah. It's all. Let's just say this: it's all been downhill for the Marvin Gaye estate ever since
Yeah.
Megan Trainor put out the Marvin Gaye song. The
Oh yeah.
Let's Marvin Gaye and get it on.
They're like, we need to take down someone. These pop stars are killing us. But you can't take down the Sheeran, bro. You can't take down the sum of it all, if you will.
The Big Ed,
The Big
the
Ed.
real Big Ed.
Yeah. When you got multiple cosigns from every rapper in the game, you can't take him down, bro.
Can't take
Someone
him
would have
down.
bailed him out. Yeah, thank God.
Nah, man. Yeah, going back to it. Yeah, I Heard You're Married would have been such a great just own piece of music if Lil Wayne was out of there. Just like that song is so good. That little I can't be with you is such a good little
Yeah, I
party
love that.
record,
Yeah.
But then Lil Wayne comes in and just kind of fucks up
It's
the
like,
vibe a little bit.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know.
uh,
It's just like there were not as many tracks as After Hours on this, and it's like, and then you have two tracks where you have features on it, so less track time for the weekend, and then those features aren't even that good. It's like, oh my God, so it's like
yeah.
it's a little bit of a waste. But really that's my main gripe with with Dawn FM, are those
Mhm.
features. Um but
Yeah.
I mean, keep the the Jim Carrey features for sure. I mean, that's kind of like
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
so necessary for the whole thing. He's the MC, you know. He's the Bootsy Collins to the Silk Sonic, you know, like he's there
Yeah.
leading us through. Um, so maybe should have had Jim Carrey spit a couple bars. I don't know.
I mean, he actually did. He spat a couple bars on what's his last
Oh,
song called? Phantom
Phantom
Regret.
Regret, yeah.
Yeah, that record is. Sometimes I just listen to that before I sleep, just to feel something, just to
Damn.
just to get some kind of like semblance of like some grounding energy around me. I think there's some beautiful thoughts in that poem. Um, obviously like you got to unwind your mind, and until you get to that divine boogaloo, in order to be heaven, you got to. I was gonna say in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. No,
Like Ed
in order
Sheeran did today with
to.
that's what he was talking about
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all that was about. Was alluding. It was predicting the case of Ed Sheeran versus the world, really.
versus the people.
But
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran versus the people. Uh, yeah, no, man. So I think definitely Ed Sheeran can definitely stay, but also Jim Carrey as well.
Yeah.
And it would be cool if he kind of transfers over, has like a little bit of a, he comes in on the next album. What was, you know what? Do we want to go into favorites? Are we getting into our,
All right.
the favorite segments? Little
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
hitters.
yeah.
So
How should we do like top 3 in particular
ooh,
order? Like
okay.
best song on the record, best record on the album, uh, and then 2 and 3.
Yeah, 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 let's do it. Let's do it. So favorite songs. Let me look at this track list real quick. Go ahead
Yeah,
and
I
leave your
know.
top three favorite records on here.
And that order matters, y'all. So, what, in
Order
your
matters.
opinion, is the best song off Down FM?
And we're going
And
by Twitter rules. This you rules where it's locked in forever.
yeah,
No no if ands. It's written in stone.
can't edit the tweet.
uh yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Let me
Hmm.
look, man. This is a
Big question.
big
Big
question.
question. Uh, so, I think I got mine.
Okay. What number one? What's your number one?
Ooh, I'll start at number three. I'll start
Oh,
at number
okay. We'll go
three
three,
and
two,
work
one.
my way up.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So number three, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna mention my number four just because I can't help. I want to. I feel like I can't not mention this song. My number four is gonna be "Take My Breath." Okay, I
Okay, for
gotta
sure.
at least mention it just because such an iconic moment, all that stuff. And then number three for me is there someone else? There's just such a good bop, such a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It fits into my favorite R&B subgenre, which
Mm-hmm.
is begging on your knees, pleading, crying, all that stuff. But it's like, but throw it in Blade Runner world,
mm,
which is like,
mm.
okay, I'll take it.
Fire.
So number three, is there someone else? Number two, Out of Time. Whoa, that record is. It just when I listen to it, I'm just like I'm in a karaoke room,
Yeah.
in Tokyo, in Japan, with the neon lights, and I'm just singing my damn heart out, with Hoyun. Please, my
Mm.
God, I'd love to be singing with her. And then obviously number one is kind of the record that this whole record culminates in is Lesson Zero. We've
Nice.
said everything. I feel like we've said everything we needed to say about that song. But it really is true. It's cathartic. It's a release. It's liberating and upbeat and lively, yet
Mm.
also depressing as hell.
Yeah.
And that's just my vibe. So that's
Yes.
just everything about me in the song. So no, Lesson Zero is my number one. How about yourself, Matt?
Okay. I'll also give a number 4 since you did.
Yeah,
Um, and I will copy you with "Take My Breath" as number 4. That song still, you just have to include it. Um,
the little breakdown in the middle of
yeah,
the record is so real, bro. That
yeah,
that shit is.
and just the fact he put the longer extended version on the album, I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, that was
only
for
way
the
to do it.
fans. So that's number 4. Number 3 will have to be, man, I'm gonna say "Sacrifice." at number 3.
Mm.
Number
Mm.
2, oh my god, this is hard, bro. Lesson Zero. Number
Yep,
1,
yep, yep.
how do you make how do I make you love me? And I was gonna say, how do
Oh, I
you
was.
make me love you?
Yeah. That record was like, oh, I was tussling with that one.
That I
That one
solidified
and
that today because I re-listened to the album today. I was like, man, like, yeah, this is. I think this one's my favorite.
hmm it. I love the beginning of it. The boom, boom. We're
Mm-hmm.
going back and like the I don't know how to describe it, but just like the way it opens up, it's very like it's very slick, and it comes
Mm-hmm.
in, and then all of a sudden it's just so hard hitting and
Yeah.
hardcore and all that
Yeah.
stuff. That record is great. I also another one, not part of it at all, but just something if you want to take part in it as well, go ahead. But record that I love, that I think I like more than most people, very specific
Okay.
uh
Okay. Okay.
genre category. Um, Don't Break My Heart. I feel like
Yeah.
that song is so
I love that track.
ooh,
The
so
dum
melancholic,
boom doom boom
so
doom 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 doom
mhm.
doom. The little like like the little
Yep.
high like bro, it's so good. It's like such a little club banger, you know? Like I just
hmm
feel like I'm walking slow mo through like the Batman club that they're in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel it running in my signal. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so good. It again, it kind of throws you back into that 80s nightclub world. But then lyrically, it's kind of like it's interesting because it's like, he's like pleading for this girl, don't break my heart, please. Like I've been through this so many times. What is it? I don't think I could take this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If this happens again, those will be the death of me. Like stuff like that, super nihilistic, self-destructive stuff. I'm like, that's really cool that you're able to kind of slip that in there into such a smooth
Yeah.
um nightclub record.
That
So
one
no,
that one
was
is
Jose who
definitely
said that?
definitely slept on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here, if we're going on to favorite music video, I
Ooh.
don't know if you want to do top three for that or just top two. How do you
Let
want
me
to do it?
see. Let me go back. I could just say my one favorite. Um Let me go to the weekend. Um, man, favorite music
Two.
video from the Don FM experience. Oh, I
Yeah,
was like, what is this?
I'm reading through some
Um,
of your top threes, some of your top fours as well. Yeah, man, it seems like Lesson
oh,
Zero is definitely a standout out of time. Matthew David, our top three is kind of the same.
yeah,
Um,
this is so tough.
Janet Jackson.
Honestly, oh my god, bro. Honestly, like, Take My Breath is so fire. Like, that was such a
Yeah.
moment. That was kind of just our first teaser into this, and like just the vibe of that alone was like the people with like the mask inhaling the crazy whatever, and like the club, and like the girl like yanking him with her ponytail, and like he's like trying to survive. um I will say a follow-up, if I could have like an honorable mention, I'd probably say Sacrifice, with
Mm.
the
Mm-hmm.
hooded, red women or whatever.
Yeah.
Those two are definitely my fave.
And that's cool because they kind of lead into each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, that makes sense. That makes sense. For me, let's see. Favorite music video. Hmm My honorable mention would probably be Out of Time. I know it's like a little aside a little bit. But it's just so fucking sick and twisted how it starts off as this nice little rom-com what's that, Lost in Translation type
Yeah.
moment, and then it kind of diverts into typical weekend, sick and twisted mind stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love that idea, and also they literally took the image out of my head about singing Out of Time in a karaoke room. Like, come on now, that's perfect. But my number one absolute favorite.
Come on now.
I gotta give one. Okay. my second honorable mention will have to be How Do I Make You Love Me. I think is just so slick. It's like it's the closest we'll
Yeah,
get to a Weeknd anime, and I
that's true.
love that. But my absolute favorite music video that defined this era to me is Gasoline.
Mm.
It's just there's so many images from that. I just remember editing our Don FM Explain video and just using so many moments from that music
Yeah,
video
that's true.
into that. I think of the scene where he transitions from new to old Abel. The scene
Hmm.
where he transitions where he's looking up at the sky and he's like crying, and like images like that are tell a whole story without in just like a second of in just a frame. So for me, Gasoline, and also it directly touches on the whole old man Abel vibe thing. We haven't really gone back to that, which
Hmm.
I guess if we want to go back to, I mean, obviously the Don FM experience, I guess, which I guess kind of leads us into the next thing is, I guess, favorite moments, live performance stuff. There's not doesn't have to just be one, but just any that stick
Ooh,
out to you. For me, the Don FM experience from Amazon,
yeah, that was
Amazon
sick.
Prime thing is incredible. That's like, it's kind of one of those things where, the idea of, in case you guys haven't seen it, it's the weekend performing the songs live, a select amount of songs in
Hmm.
within the context of, I guess what it's supposed to be. Like, for example, he performs Sacrifice, Take My Breath, Gasoline in a nightclub with the people from Take My Breath, taking drugs with the masks, all that
Yeah,
stuff. And he goes into Out of Time, which is like this hall of mirrors,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
really cool. And then Less Than Zero, which is like we're back in the club, but he's a little more wistful, a little more regretful. You can see it in his eyes. It also gives him an opportunity to like act within the context of the
Little
Dawn FM songs,
idol teaser,
like
you know.
yeah, yeah, no, and then obviously it ends with him like going into the light, uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
similar to what this whole album is about, is going into the light. So no, that probably is definitely a standout for me. Do you have
Um,
anything?
yeah, I mean, in terms of moments, I don't know if it's like, I mean, I don't know if it's like my favorite, but I think it definitely was like the most like, uh, drama or like just the most like, um, interesting part of the whole experience was probably what went down with the whole tour, especially with the revamp of the tour, adding Don FM to the After Hours title, making it a stadium tour, the moon itself, the dancers,
Yeah,
the live versions of all these tracks, the
in
drama
Los
with
Angeles.
yeah,
Sorry.
Los Angeles. I'm sorry, y'all. I cannot put on a show. You know, the whole drama with like he had to cancel the show and like that was the or even the very first show had to be postponed, I think, because of technical reasons. I remember the first
Oh
time
shit, yeah,
with
like the Wi-Fi like just completely blacked out.
yeah, they're
Like
like
Drake and Adam Sandler and a shit ton of people where Nav was in the
yeah,
audience, and afterwards
the
you
goat.
just saw videos of everyone like walking down the street like, damn,
Yeah.
well, where do we go now? Like,
Yeah, that was crazy. Like he's just like, sorry y'all, like the network's down. Like like nobody can restart the router. Like what's going on? Like I don't know.
yeah,
So that was crazy. Like just how crazy that whole tour was. And just like following along with that, from the sidelines, knowing that I had tickets, but certain someone took them away from me and reminded me how poor I was by upping that price. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, that was crazy. I don't know if you remember this, but I don't know if it counts as like a moment, but I think one of the coolest things to come out of this era, like in terms of like I think of like the House of Balloons 10-year anniversary. We had that really awesome collab with Daniel Arsham, the creative director at Men's
Mm.
Dior, who had like the really sick uh kind of crazy futuristic version of the album cover. But in terms of Donna Femme, I don't know if you remember, but Mischief and The Weeknd um, made a single, like a 45 of Out of Time, in the shape of a blade. And
Crazy.
that was crazy. I don't know if y'all remember that. I can pull it up right here, but that was like the
Yo.
coolest thing I've ever seen, and I wanted it so bad, but it was like dummy expensive, like for no reason. But
Yeah.
here's a little ad. But this was the coolest, just like collab the Weeknd has ever done. Like, bro, what?
I just know if Matt was an anime character, this would be his weapon of choice. It's just like
Yeah,
vinyls
yeah.
with blades on them, or
I
like one of
yeah.
those like
Look at how
like what would.
crazy that is, bro. Oh, that's my turntable. That's cool.
Oh shit, bro. Damn, that's
Yeah,
it.
dude, look at
Yeah, no.
that. It's a
I
freaking
just know it'd
saw
be,
blade.
or it'd be like that that thing that SZA has with like the chain
Oh
with
yeah,
like
yeah.
nunchucks or blades on it, but with like a vinyl vinyl blade on it.
Right.
That would be your vibe.
Vinyl blade. Yeah, that's sick, dude. That would just I'd have so much bragging rights if I had that. Um,
Yeah.
that was really cool. The Weeknd has had a lot of really dope collabs, but this was definitely one of my faves. And just the fact that it's also a 45 of Just Out of Time.
Just out
Like
of time is
I don't often
mm.
have like a lot of I don't have any 45s like of a single, but like if I would have one, it would have to be a single I absolutely love. So I would get Out of Time or like Take My Breath or something. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Same, bro. I
it
I
looks
remember looking at
crazy.
this and checking the price and then checking my
Yeah,
bank account and being like, okay,
never mind.
like how many meals am I gonna have to cut out on?
Right?
And then I'm like, oh shit, like I literally have to take BART every day to get to school. So I
No,
can't do this. I can't
it's
do this.
like my education
Um,
or the Out of Time vinyl.
I know. Fuck. But no, a couple other moments that I was thinking of just now was just how this whole era started. Like, do you remember him being like just on Twitter and being like, "Fuck it, Don FM era starts today," and he posted
Yeah,
that
yeah.
synth wave of the sunset, I guess of the dawn, and
Hmm.
it's like you're kind of going into it, and it's little did we know it
Classic.
would be like the instrumental of "Take My Breath." I just remember I was just in LA with my family. We were actually in Disneyland. I just remember being like, "Oh shit, is this happening? Like, am I gonna have to leave Disneyland to start a Spaces or like a, something to commemorate this moment? Like, is it happening tonight?" And obviously, it didn't happen. Like the Take My Breath single didn't come out until like a week or two later.
Hmm.
But that was an incredible moment. And then on a personal note, um, this era, one of my favorite moments from this era was one of my favorite moments from this era was going to the After Hours Till Dawn concert and actually meeting up with someone who actually like watches our streams and our videos.
Yeah,
Lox, who is a homie. We still talk to this day. There you go.
just
Like, look
some
at that.
detailed shots.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
But
you had
no,
a
that was
freaking fan sighting. Like that's so sick.
yeah, it was really cool. Like we linked up. We were like, yeah, let's definitely meet up at somewhere. And then uh it was just amazing like talking to someone who is like into the shit as much as you are, and we were
Hmm.
just kind of bonding. He was giving me his theories, I was giving him his. We were and it was just a really cool experience, like my first time really like meeting someone who watches our shit, which is
Hmm.
really cool. So no, this era to me is so special. It's super special era. I
Yeah,
mean, look at that shit, bro. Look how incredible it would be just to pull that thing out, to not cut yourself, hopefully, like taking it out of the sleeve. But look at that shit,
y'all
bro.
want to know? Y'all want to know how much it was? I'm gonna tell you
Hmm.
this right. I'm gonna just pan over real quick. 5 bands. It was an auction, bro.
Ah,
They made 5 bands for
oh,
this.
I just had a.
Um,
Whew,
yeah.
I need,
So I know Jose can afford it.
yeah,
Um,
Jose got that.
he got that on lock. Yeah, that's crazy. No, my other favorite moment. I mean, let's talk about it. The Don FM listening party stream, or
Mm,
not listening, but pre-album party
the
stream.
album,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that was sick. Just the most people we have ever had. It was over 100 people in this live stream, which was crazy. Um, I mean, the people, the OGs who are here with us still, who are still, loyal to the stream. I remember all of y'all were like, "This is crazy!" Like, yo, they would like keep counting every time the number would go up, like 100 people, 108 people, like
Yeah.
120 people, like that. That stream has like 8,000 views. Like, it's so wild how many people tuned in for that. Um, I got horrendously exposed on there. For no reason. The one time I would get exposed is like the time we had the most people ever on our stream. Um,
Right.
yeah, man. But it was such a good time. It was like literally that's one of my favorite live streams ever. And it was such a great way to kick off the whole Don FM era.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I don't consider us ambassadors of anything, but that was kind of like the first time really where I was like, this is really cool that we're able to give like fans of the weekend like this kind of space to just to chill out, be
Yeah.
hear someone talk about Don FM as hopefully as much as you guys love, thinking about it. So, that's kind of what this whole thing is just like hopefully we give you guys a little hub, a little space to talk about our favorite stuff. And yeah, man, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we want to talk about? Favorite? Um, oh, okay. Let's get into it. After Hours or Dawn FM? Isn't
Like
that the question of
era
the day?
or album.
We can go both. We can start with
Alright.
we'll start with album. We can go into era overall. For me, it's come on now. You guys know, you guys saw the picture of me from a while back.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on
It's Dawn
here.
FM all
We'll
day.
make it full screen.
Album. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Weeknd's most
Sir,
loyal
yes,
soldier.
sir. Sir, yes, sir. Ready to accommodate you, sir. I'm here to serve, sir. uh, yeah, Don FM to me, musically and just the album itself is I like it better than After Hours just because I think just because lyrically some of the stuff speaks to me a little more. I think that idea of like self-awareness and dealing with that, dealing with your past transgressions, looking back, I do that shit a lot. So hearing the Weeknd, who I know has done his fair share of bullshit, like hearing his thoughts on like all that stuff and reflecting, I think that stuff really hit me. But also musically, again, like I mentioned, sonically, this album was like a great little full circle moment of oh yeah, like my dad put me onto 80s music, put me onto like Spandau Ballet, put me onto like stuff like that. And for us to come back and for him to be like, yo, this Weekend album is great. Like, and I brought it up to him. I was like, yo, I really think you'd appreciate this new
Mm-hmm.
Weekend album, Dawn FM. And he ended up loving it. It ended up being definitely his most streamed album of that year. So no, man, for me personally, Dawn FM. Um, Again, just the album.
Okay.
We'll get into
Okay.
the air in a bit. How about
Okay.
yourself?
I mean, y'all know my thoughts. You called me out a couple weeks ago for my thoughts on Don FM. I would like to, before I go on to say, and some of y'all already know my answer probably, but to yeah, Curry saw that. My mic just decided to jump
Yeah.
out of its fucking stand for a second for some reason. But I would like to speak on that comment that I made about Don FM a couple weeks ago about how it is not my favorite Weekend album. It's not as high. It's not too high on my list either. In terms of all of his other albums, but that doesn't mean that this is a bad album. I think it's just it's in the same boat as like a Kissland, where it's like, oh, the mood has to be right. I gotta want to listen to it front to back, and then it'll resonate, you know. Whereas I can kind of pop in and out of After Hours. I can easily just throw on My Dear Melancholy. I can pop in and find my favorite tracks off Starboy, off Beauty Behind the Madness, yada yada yada. That being said, though, I still do like After Hours more than Dawn FM. A lot of people I hear are saying After Hours is his Thriller, which I definitely agree. It is. I can definitely see it being his Thriller, whereas Dawn FM is a completely different animal. You know, are you the the same beast but a different animal, type beat. It's about
Oh my God.
yeah, so I still like After Hours. The album itself, I just think it's a stronger track list in my opinion. Keeps it keeps my attention. Like I said though, that first 4 track run on Dawn FM is super strong, but I think where After Hours for me it takes it over is it just keeps that momentum through the whole thing, and it has one
Yeah.
of my favorite opening and closing tracks ever, Alone Again, and then Until I Bleed Out, and then also if you want to count the deluxe, which After Hours has a deluxe, Dawn FM doesn't, in terms of actually adding a new song. They have the Final Lullaby, and then what is it?
Nothing compared.
Nothing Compares. Yeah.
Oh,
Which is, I'm like, damn, like even this song like kind of is better than a lot of, like, it's my favorite one and it's a bonus track, like, so After Hours just has so much more replayability for me in general. So I have to give it to After Hours. That doesn't mean Dawn FM is a bad album at all.
I think of that. What is that meme? Just because I'm mad doesn't mean I don't care. It's
Yeah.
like, it's a great album. No, yeah, it's definitely the same way. That just speaks to the Weeknd's kind of discography. Is like, I think you mentioned Dawn FM was like in the bottom three. Meanwhile, for me, it's
Yeah.
like in my top three. So the fact
Right.
that but we can all speak on the album all the same is like, no, like this stuff is great. This stuff is great. So there you go. Let's get into the eras though.
Yeah. Chip fam,
Uh,
drop the bar, bro. I see you.
I know we've been.
I've been.
What
I don't
is
know
this
if
bar,
I don't know
bro?
if you did it earlier, but I missed it. If you want me to pin it, you got to drop the bar. I want to see
You've
it. All right.
never. You've been teasing this bar for the last like hour and a half and been saying like, "Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it?" We're like,
No,
"No, we haven't seen
I
it."
haven't seen it.
What is this bar? I'm literally like.
Please
going
share it
crazy
with
right
us.
now. After Hours is the thrill of our generation. I agree. I agree. And I think another aspect. I think we both agree on this one. After Hours is the superior era.
Yeah.
I think um, part of it, sometimes the best moments, there's an aspect of it that is just like unscripted, that you just didn't know what that you didn't know it was gonna happen, and then just kind of adds to the experience. And I think for
Mhm.
me, part of what made the After Hours era so beautiful, and so potent was how timely it
Yeah.
was. Like the pandemic happened, we're going into lockdown, we're all kind of being forced to face ourselves, spend time with ourselves more than I think we'd like. And because of that, having an album like that starts off with like, "Oh shit, I'm alone
Alone
again.
again.
Oh
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
I'm scared to live.
You know.
I'm blinded
Take
by the
off.
light."
Might as well. I'm like, just the first line. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
shit.
having a titular record where the song goes, "Baby, where are you now that I need you most?
Yeah.
Doing it all just to hold you close." Like song,
Yeah.
like moments like that, you're like, this is what, like this. Obviously the pandemic was like was a very bad thing, but to have in the midst of all that bad stuff, to have this amazing little piece of art to carry us through, uh, you couldn't have scripted it. And I'm sure the Weeknd, when he was making this album, wasn't predicting that a global pandemic would happen, but it just added to the moment. I feel
And
like is yeah.
yeah, I feel like it's even a little unfair to compare them because, like, I mean, the biggest moment of the After Hours era was, I mean, Super Bowl. Like, come on, like literally out like the this is and then like ending it with blinding lights. I'm like, bro, this is it. Like, he could die tomorrow, and that would have been the greatest moment of his entire life, and even the the live performances too of After Hours tracks. I'm thinking of the one where he's like, I think it's Blinding Lights, where he's like on top of the skyscraper and like a helicopter flies by and like
Yeah, the
the
MTV Awards.
yeah, the MTV. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is insane. Like, he is on top of the world. Like, it was just so next level, and I think it just has that special spot in my heart because this was the first time the Weeknd has reached that tier of artistry, of stardom. Obviously, it was Starboy. He finally like popped into that mainstream, and everyone's like, "Oh shit!" Like Weeknd's going up.
Yeah.
But After Hours was it. It was like, nah, he's the best in the world. And
Yeah.
all of the imagery, like you said, he couldn't have. It was like it was scripted to be just like his just hero moment, or anti-hero moment. You know, like it was just so sick. So I think yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little hard to compare. It's like I mean, he tried though. I feel like he definitely tried to give uh Don FM the same treatment. I think he with his own, like he mentioned how the Super Bowl was a huge inspiration to what he could do on tour, with the stadiums. So he tried to basically do a Super Bowl performance for everyone. So you know he was trying to still hit that same note, with Don FM, but you know it just doesn't. Unfortunately for me, the nostalgia, it still gives it that, like I don't know if it's really rose colored glasses or anything, but honestly, it was genuinely just such an amazing time to just be a Weekend fan and just see him just rise so to just be so big. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, said it. You said it perfectly. I think there. Yeah, After Hours to me is definitely to me what Don FM is like carrying the momentum of After Hours and proving to people like, oh, this is just regular for me. Like I could do this
Right.
high quality. I could bring you these high quality performances anytime I want, and because of that, when it starts to lose a bit of its like you mentioned, like there's also that nostalgia aspect of it. It's like, oh shit, Super Bowl, seeing him do that for the first time is
Mm-hmm.
incredible. But obviously the performances in Don FM are some of my favorite, ever. The Don FM experience, that to me is like why I want like every
Yeah.
single album to have something like this where, like, bro, imagine Beauty Behind the Madness experience where it starts off boom,
Yeah.
boom, real life bump it, Pineapple Head, OG Abel, like all that stuff, like man. So no, but all that to say, Dawn FM era, there's definitely, I think it's one of those things that we'll look back on and be like, hey man, he still gave us
Yeah.
what we needed. Maybe not up to, again, didn't have that unscripted element of say After Hours. So no. After Hours also gave us the Weekend's Darkest Secret. Yeah,
That is true.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a
That is
virgin.
another one up. Yo,
Bro, Chip
what?
fan, where I for real, I don't know if it's got too many cuss words or something and YouTube censoring it, but I cannot see it.
Yo, you must be saying some
This
crazy.
must be the most heinous bar of all time because it's not showing up on our end. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know.
What is this
Um,
bar? Can someone else type it? If someone else sees it, can you type it? And hopefully your account doesn't get suspended.
yeah. um,
Uh,
oh, can we get a score check real quick on that Warriors game, please? Um, Someone mentioned in the comments. That's how dedicated we are to the stream. I know Cesco would rather be down there watching. I know.
but I do this for y'all. I do this
Yeah.
for y'all. I'm dying. I'm on pins and needles right now. It is 1919 Warriors Lake. Okay, it's tie game right now.
Well, it's probably the first
Y'all.
half, or the first quarter, but I got to see how they're playing.
Hmm. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was tough. Tuesday was rough. Was it Tuesday?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I'm feeling optimistic, bro. I'm feeling very optimistic because I think we're just gonna try to outrun him. Hopefully, the longer the series goes, maybe we can
Just tiring him out.
tire him out. Especially because LeBron's getting a little older. Anthony Davis is getting a little. He's very injury prone, so we'll see how it goes. Very pro Warriors. Hopefully, you guys are.
We can
Well, you guys are Warriors fans now. Yeah, you guys have
yes.
no option but to be Warriors fans.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough because
Are you-
at my work,
Yeah.
like we have to be Lakers fans because we run a Los Angeles social page. And so always they're like, so what? Like they'll show me this thing, like, what do you think this Lakers meme? I'm like, that should add, like, don't show me that. Like,
Whack.
I don't want, like, it's whack. Like, what do you,
Here,
yeah,
Lakers. Wow.
yeah, LeBron,
Bro.
whack. Like, I don't want to see it. Whatever. All right, Lakers, yeah. Okay, well, I have my thoughts on the fucking the whole playoffs right now, but like. You deleting messages? Damn.
No.
Damn.
I'm joking.
You better watch yourself, Nick the Fish. You might get put on timeout.
I don't know how to bring you back, but I think you're just you're on time. I think for like 30 seconds. I think.
Think about your actions.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
We can use that. I know we wanted to talk about something before our next topic after the whole Don FM stuff, so maybe we can use that time to discuss a little Warriors.
Warriors.
Just some NBA talk, because I definitely have my.
Yeah.
I know you have your thoughts on it.
Stephen Curry, my God, that Game 7 against the Kings was incredible. Sorry to backtrack a little bit from before the Lakers series. 50 points, a 50 ball in a Game 7 in Sacramento's home turf. Incredible, never been done before. 50 points in a Game 7, like that's biblical stuff. I have the take that Steph Curry is the greatest offensive force we've ever seen, the greatest offensive player ever. Obviously, I know people can say Michael Jordan, LeBron, all that stuff, but I think pound for pound, skill for skill, and just from the defenses that they play against him, Steph Curry is the best there ever is. You know, like they're literally double teaming him off the ball, allowing other people to score. They're triple teaming him at half court, all that stuff. Like we've never seen LeBron do that. In fact, the key to being LeBron is just let him shoot. Yeah. Hopefully he's just not having a good day.
Yeah.
Whereas Steph Curry, it's like good luck doing that. So no, that's and then going into this Lakers series, you said you were watching at a B-dub, right?
Yeah.
I gotta know, what was the order?
Oh, okay, for sure. Well, shout out to my sister who is a waitress at B-dubs. She hooked it up with the they got some sort of point system going on over there, but basically we had like a fucking $130 bill between the three of us. Paid like $60 at the end, so shout out to the Blazing Points system they got over there, their B-dub credits. But I got a 20-piece traditional. We got Buffalo Classic. We got honey, garlic. We got Asian Zing, and then we had Asian Zing is good. And then we had the lemon pepper dry. Okay, that's the bar. Chip's bar is she liked the way I flick my tongue. Hold on, I went away. She liked the way I flicked my tongue. Told me to do it till she.
You said this was an original bar. I can't help but feel like this is derivative.
Why didn't that come through? I don't know. Maybe it was just so obscene.
Yeah. Rate the bar. I give it a 5 because I feel like it's been there, done that.
Yeah. How did you like it, Cesco? Cesco been saying that bar, so you're stealing his flow, dude.
It's like that, you know, that guy that goes up to the rappers and like goes like, "Yo, you want to check out my flow real quick?" And he just raps their bar to him. You're literally speaking my language. Bro. Like, oh no.
Have you seen Drewski's like talent show? Like people will go up and like spit bars for him.
Yeah.
There's like a 5-second clip. It's so funny every time I see it, but it's like some white kid who comes up and he's like, "What's going on, man?" And then like he's like, "Hey, buddy." He's like, "What's good, brother?" And he's like, "Brother." He's like, then he just goes into his bar. He's just like, "Got a strap on me, no lesbo." He just has to stop him. He's just like, yo. That's it.
That's all I gotta hear.
Got a strap on me, no lesbo.
Hey, got some. What is it? Got some people in my house. Got their dick in my mouth.
Okay.
I mean, tits in my mouth. I forget what line that is.
Yeah. It's like those are like that guy and the like $100 million, or it's like I'm sucking it. It's like
I'm sucking it. No, I you send me that.
Those are all the same breed of people. Like
no hesitation.
Yeah. Like I don't care. I'm sucking it. $100 million. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, quick detour to the Warriors. We're talking about the Warriors.
Yeah.
I need to watch it though, but yeah, very sus coaching that last game. Like you said, with keeping Steph. I don't know if they were like trying to like let his arm cook and just like warm up for the whole game until they thought he could close it out fourth quarter, and somehow do another 50 ball in one quarter.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking of that, but the Lakers fans were they were too loud for how close that game was. I will say, like a little too like, oh yeah, we got, we had that, like, bro. Curry wasn't there for an entire quarter, so maybe that's why y'all won, And the refs kept giving the Lakers every single foul. I think we had maybe 4 the whole game, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it was because what I've read is that like they probably wanted to rest Curry just because they're coming off a game 7 and then a 1 day rest into the next series. It's like a little bit of quick of a turnaround, but man, it's just like it's the playoffs. It's
like
it's that
play,
time. Like you just
you
gotta
know,
play. Like
give them the
you know,
ball.
yeah,
I see a lot of
yeah.
people
So
saying, and not to go into a full other tangent that's not related to the video title at all, but quick thoughts on this. And I'm not sure if you actually brought this up to me at all, but has, like, is the Warriors, they're known for kind of like their system that they built, like the way they pass the ball around, the way they move, they can just run that shit and clear teams easily. Do you think that system that Steve Kerr is the Warriors system, like, is starting to bring Steph down, like hold him back? Because that's what I feel like it happened that game was like they were just running those. It's like they wouldn't let him just take charge and just do his own thing, like you said he should have done, which is just do as many pick and rolls all day and just drive to the basket, or
yeah,
or shoot threes all day, whatever. Have him make the plays and just abandon the system for a second, and it's the fucking playoffs, So, do you think? I don't know. Do you think like that system or Steve Kerr is like holding him down?
that's definitely a big question within the Warriors fan base. Is like, is that someone called it the equal opportunity offense? That
Right.
tiki taka, just
Yeah.
pass the ball around and screen and all that stuff. You know what? I think that it boosts Steph's skills and like what he can bring to the table up to a certain extent. Like there's like a threshold of like, all right, you guys are doing it too much. Like, one of my
Mm-hmm.
biggest things about Steph that I love that separates him from Michael Jordan, I think Matthew David, said, "Oh, Steph Curry can't compare to Michael Jordan." But I think what Michael Jordan doesn't do as much as say Steph is like all the off-ball stuff where he's running around
Right.
screens and
Right.
he's coming off the screen and both the screener's man and his man are jumping onto Steph, leaving
Mm-hmm.
his man wide open. There's so many times where you can see Steph coming off a screen and then the guy just gets a wide open layup.
Right.
And it creates offenses for everybody else and then they gotta and they always say like the playoffs is not about who can make the toughest shot. It's about who can create the easiest shots for within the context of like playoff defense. So because of that, there's definitely value in having Steph run around those screens. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're when that's all you're doing, and at this point it's become, it's
You're just
all
like
he's
it's like he's just the bait at this point. He's not even playing. He's just like
yeah.
he's just grabbing defenders.
You just have him out there running, doing
Yeah.
cardio
Yeah.
basically in a
Literally.
hardcore playoff game.
Running
You're
laps.
just like, hey Steph, why don't you just give me a couple laps around the
Yeah.
around the court. So I think I think it's about creating uh like when to use it, when to not. I get the value in all the offense, but I think what Steph w- w- the game 7 against the Kings was probably the worst thing to happen to Steve Kerr because now we've seen like, oh shit, he could drop 50 on a dime if you give him the ball, if you let him do
Literally.
pick and roll and just let him cook. And now it's like, just do that. Just do exactly that. Maybe
Yeah.
run a little more offense if you want to get everyone involved, have Steph rest a little bit, because it is harder. I always say this, or I've seen people say this, and I agree. It's harder to guard someone who off the ball than it is on, because on the ball
Yeah.
you're just like, all right, are you
Yeah.
shooting or are you driving? Whereas off ball it's like, shit, man, can you relax? Like you're running around all that stuff.
Right.
So it's a pick your poison thing, and I think Kerr just tends to lean into that offense a lot. They call him the, what is it? Something, the dictate Kerr, dictator, the dictate
Oh,
Kerr. There's some kind
damn.
of You can imagine the spelling of it and how that works. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like it's just like he's ruling with an iron fist and like,
Mm.
come on, Steph, don't dribble, don't you dare dribble. That's where I'm at with that.
Well,
Uh,
well,
what's
I
the score
mean,
right now?
I know we don't have the game up, so we could see if he learned his lesson, but I don't know if they're letting Steph do his thing, let him cook. Um, but yeah.
Down
Anyway,
7. But you know
all
what?
right.
Maybe it's because they need us to be watching. Maybe that's
Yeah,
why.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
uh,
that's our Warriors talk for the evening.
yeah, playoff talk.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler is him. Hopefully he'll come back. I don't know if you've seen him, but there's a whole joke about like playoff Jimmy. Like he's just like coasting through the regular season, then
Walks
postseason
in.
Jimmy is like 43 points, game winners left and right.
Yeah.
So love seeing that. Love seeing New York. I love seeing New York in the playoffs because like win or lose, it's super fun. Like
Yeah.
uh, Jessica Alba was at the last game. People were like, "Yo,
I
baddie."
right, the courtside baddies. Yeah. I'm sure Poole
Could have
was
used her
like,
at the Warriors game.
yeah, yeah. There weren't enough for Poole. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, Himmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Um,
Okay, that's our. We just need to honestly, we just need to put on the game, and our whole opinions could change in a second. But
oh no. But yeah, hey, let's talk about another album that graced our ears recently. That people seem to have a lot of interesting opinions about. No, Nick the Fish. We see your comment.
you're not banned. You're not banned. Damn, that was a long
Yeah, you're
ban. Sorry
good.
about that.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
We that was
Uh,
perfect though. We banned you for the entirety of the Warriors talk, and then you're back. So
yeah,
didn't need
yeah.
that.
Then watch yourself, Nick. No, no, no. You did not disrespect the Warriors. That was
Yeah.
just pure emotion. If we had won game one, I wouldn't have probably blocked you, but here we are. Hey, we're talking about Jack Harlow's latest album,
Yes.
Jackman.
Yes.
Jackman.
So
Uh,
sorry if you're just joining. We just talked about Don FM for the past almost 2 hours now. But
yeah.
now it's time to talk about a better album, a more impactful album, an album that the streets were waiting for. Jackman
Mm.
by Hugh Jackman by Jackman Harlow. That's his
The
full
White
name.
God, White Chocolate.
Best thing since Eminem, apparently, according to him. Uh, yeah.
Here, let's start off with this. Was this a good album?
It was a good Jack Harlow album.
Hmm. Hmm. I think it's a good album in that a Whopper is good. It sometimes it just hits. A Whopper is
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. A
It's
Jack
not a
Harlow
Five
combo
Guys.
meal, you know.
Yeah, it's a KFC chicken sandwich where
Yeah,
you're like, it's not good for me.
but it
Uh,
hits.
Borderline, I hate that I enjoy it, but it's given what it needs to get.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Uh, okay. So that being said, I guess you kind of know where our thoughts are. It's a fun album. It is what it is. I saw people gassing it up like, "Yo, top 5 hip hop project this year."
No.
Like, oh, I can. That's
Definitely
crazy.
not.
If this is a top 5 rap album by the end of the year, we had a dry year of hip hop. But that being said, I don't know. I found this album very refreshing. I think about it as like I think I was talking about before last stream was that I know Jack Harlow has some he knows what like good hip hop, what that real hip hop is supposed to sound like what you know what works. And because of his how much he loved Knock Steady, he was really into that scene. So no, I really enjoyed. So with that being said, I really enjoyed some of the samples, the beats he chose, some of the storytelling on some of these records. Obviously, then people kind of take it too far. It's like, oh shit, it's Kendrick level storytelling. Oh, it's but no, I think it was this as far as like yeah, Jack Harlow album goes. This was it was refreshing. It was good.
It was
Had a little more substance, some bars in there that I was not expecting. And I was just like pleasantly surprised, I think is like the main buzzword I'll use for this album.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think I liked it as much as you did. I felt like he was like, this is just homeostasis rap. Like, okay, good beat, bars. Like, not even anything crazy at all. If I'm gonna be real, if this was the album that came out and not Come Home the Kids Miss You, and knowing how bad that album was, even if that album didn't come out and this was his first album, I still would have been like, it's kind of mid. But now that I know that, now with the reputation of that he had to prove himself and follow up such a horrible project that Come Home the Kids Miss You with this album, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's better than that one, you know. But a standalone is still, Jack Harlow just isn't enough for me, you know. It's just like he doesn't offer anything different enough for me. Production was great, sure. He chose his producers well, better than, you know, the first album. Even though I did like the flip of that Fergie sample, sure. But it still was not enough for me to be like, oh, here he is, you know. This is Jack Harlow, this is him at his best, like, here, like, this is what I was waiting for. Like, it was just like okay, now he's finally being serious, you know. Like, okay, so it was which a lot of, you know, I don't know, maybe that's probably what he needed, honestly, was like kind of a foundation to jump off of, since it felt like he was really banking on whatever, you know, Drake was feeding to him, saying like, you know, I was talking to someone actually about Jack Harlow at a party like a week ago, and they're like, what they're asking me, they're like, what did you think about the new, you know, did you listen to the Jack, man? Like, you know, do you fuck with Jack? Do you fuck with the Jack, man? And I was like, first off, don't ever say that to me. But I was like, it's all right, you know, and like, but their explanation of like what the first album was versus this album, he was like, the Come Home the Kids Miss You was an album for, like, that was for the hoes, like, that was for the girlies, that was for like
The
IG stories, and at that
stuff.
point, like, that was his whole thing, man. Everybody was thirsting over Jack Harlow, and he had to give them what they wanted, you know. So I understood that. And then this one, he's finally back with like actual bars, and like that's when like the actual like hip hop fans came out and paid attention for a moment. So sure, I'll give him that. You know, like I'll give the Come Home the Kids Miss You a pass, because that was for, you know, that was to bring the hoes in. I get it. You know, that was his main audience. But
You don't think the hoes are coming for the bars about suburban media journalists, you know, talking about hip hop?
I
You
don't
don't
think
think
so. I think they were. I think he still tried to, you know, lead them on with the album cover for sure. You know, just be like, they're like,
yeah,
oh shit, like Jack
you know,
Harlow.
back to his roots, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. But you know, it was just like, it was really still like, I don't know. I think he just really needed a reset. You know, he was just like, okay, let me just actually like show y'all I have actual bars, because apparently I don't, and he had to like prove himself. So I think he just needed to be like, okay, here's these bars. Here's what I can do. I still sound good. I still have a good taste in beat selection. Um, Before I can start doing something different. So yeah, still, it's nothing that like I think is amazing. I don't think it's in the top 5 rap albums this year at all. Not nowhere close. But also, on that point of like, this year has been dry, you know. I also don't agree with that. We can talk about it in a second. But in terms of Jack Harlow, yeah, still kind of mid. It's at least mid and not bad. So that's a step up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this was an album full of bars. I think what I appreciated from the album was more just like his perspective, and I was able to be like, okay, he's a lot more self-aware than people give him credit
Yeah,
for. He
at least
knows that,
he's speaking
like, for
some. He's speaking his truth, you know, like at the very least.
Yeah, he with this album, there's some records on there like I mentioned, like I alluded to before. Like he talks about like the suburban people that are trying to come off as like they're hard and tough and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that one. There's the what is it, Gang Gang Gang,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very interesting story. So I think for me, what I took away from it was like, okay, like if this is where you're going with your career, if you're actually going to be, um, if you're not just gonna fuck around, like let's be honest, yeah, like you said, it's a Come Home the Kids Miss You is like a hose album. I also call it a label plant
Yeah.
album, where it's
Yeah.
like this
The
is gonna
Drake
work.
effect. Yeah.
The algorithmic album. Whereas this one was like I feel like more of like what I think this is gonna be more of a sign of like what's to come from Jack Harlow. I
Mm-hmm.
say that and then he's gonna drop like a fucking like where the hoes at? Let me hear you
Yeah.
cream coming up next.
Let me hear
But
you cream part two. Like,
yeah. But I think this album was just like refreshing and just like a cool little like I didn't feel like my time was wasted. I'll just put it
okay.
like that. And
Yeah.
that's kind of more than I've given Jack Harlow credit for is like, okay, like you gave me something, you gave me some interesting stories, you gave me some he gave me a little bit of like what I like about Drake was like he gave me some bars that were like, I feel that. I kind of felt that. I
Yeah.
forget what they were, to be fair. I've only really given it one listen, so I can't really like speak to it, but I just remember kind of vibing out and being like, damn, like that was real. I haven't heard that felt this way about a Drake song in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what? Jack Harlow, successful, in my opinion, successful endeavor, in my opinion. What would you rate this album? And then I think you wanted to go into like this hip hop scene at the moment
Mm-hmm.
this year. But yeah, what are you feeling?
Um, I'll probably give it a 6, solid 6 out of 10. Um, I feel like it was a good effort, solid bars, solid production. Um, Felt like okay, like he's back. He's back with he's proven himself to be a rapper still. You know,
Mm,
and 6 I feel like is a pretty good score. I feel like he has good taste in especially in the production. Where again, like with his last album, I'm like you know I don't know. It was just like kind of boring, a little bit of a snooze fest. Where at least with this one, like you said, it didn't feel like a waste of time. So yeah, I'll give it like a 6.
I'm probably on that same boat. Yeah. Like for me, for how my scale goes is like 1 to 3, I hated it. 4 to 5 is like I just kind of washed over me, and 6 is like I liked it. I liked it. And
Mm-hmm.
then we go into 7, 8. That's like
Oh, pretty
really
good,
liked it.
pretty good.
10, loved it.
Yeah.
So 6, I dug it.
Mm-hmm.
I fuck with it again. I might have to give it a couple more listens. Um, but as of right now, I'm ready to claim it as better than To Pimp a Butterfly. Now, with
Yeah.
that being said, you wanted to talk about the scene. I disagree. I think it was Luca from NFR podcast who was like, this year has been kind of a dry year for hip hop music, but I think it's a big year so far for like underground rap, which is interesting because he's like NFR. They're supposed to be big into rap, but I'm like, there's some great hip hop albums dropping.
That is my biggest, just like that mindset alone is my biggest gripe with NFR. And I know we talk shit about NFR in a joking way. And I know I also say like NFR's fine, they just, whatever, they do their thing, they have their place. But that is actually genuinely something I don't like, that they perpetuate this kind of like, who's got best album of the year, who's like best bar of the year, what is this year looking like? Who do you want to drop this year? All this shit. And I'm like, back maybe 10 years ago, nobody was saying shit like who's got the best album of the year. It was just like, oh shit, like, not, or like maybe 20 years ago, Nas dropped. Oh shit, Tribe dropped. Oh shit, Outkast dropped. Like, it was just like people just making music, and it was just it was just the culture. Now it's like streams and charts and award
Commercialization.
shows.
It's all
Yeah,
about
and it's all about the narrative. It's all about what is Twitter gonna tell me my opinion should be, like, all of this shit. And when you say, like, this year's been so dry, it's just like, why are you only listening to music coming out this year? You know, like, if you are like, I feel like with us, what makes us different is, like, we span all eras, all years, all genres, you know, which means there's never ever a moment where we can't talk about music just because this year's been dry, you know, like, whatever. And, like, if NFR is all about the hip hop and the corner of hip hop that people go to on Twitter, it's like, it's just such a negative, it's just like, it's not a very, like, productive conversation to have, where it's like, oh, this year's been so dry, like, we've only like been listening to I don't fucking know what, you know, Call Me If You Get Lost, and, like, you know, Estate Sale and Red Veil and whatever. And I'm like, well, then bring up another rap album, you know, like keep talking about rap. It's like, we're not talking about what hasn't happened. Like, why would we, what kind of conversation is that, you know? So it's like, it's like, if I ran a Twitter page where it was all about hip hop, it's just like, I'm not going to be like, could this be the worst year of hip hop? It's like, nah, like, let's just go back and look at other projects. Like, there's so much music to look at. Also, this year hasn't been dry at all, bro. This Larry June album has been getting me through 2023. Like, truly, like, my favorite record ever right now. Like, that's in my top, if we're going to talk about this year, that's in my top, you know, 3 records this year. And that's a rap album, like, bruh. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, if you don't have the ability to go back and, like, appreciate records today, then it's like, do you really like the music, or do you like talking about the music and just, like, conversations about music and getting people heated and hot takes and getting, you know, reposted by Fantano reacting to your tier lists? You know, it's like, what's the whole purpose of, like, what y'all are saying? I don't know.
Hey man, that's facts. Give Matt some claps in the chat, because I agree. I liken it to two things. You mentioned two things that were really interesting. One is, like, the unproductive conversations. That reminds me of, say, like, of going back to basketball. There's, like, a lot of the commentators, you know, and a lot of the old heads around basketball. They're just so cynical and so like they're constantly nitpicking and finding, like, this is why this is terrible for the game. This is terrible for the game. This is ruining the game. Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? It comes to a certain point where it's like, do you like basketball?
Right,
You
right,
know, like,
right.
like, find something good to talk about. Why are you always complaining about rules and this and that? Like, find something you do like, because there's always someone watching you. You never know who's watching. Maybe it's a kid who's trying to find something that they love about basketball. Maybe it's you know, some dad who's trying to relate to his kid and is, like, learning about basketball. But if this dude is just talking, who apparently is, like, an aficionado in basketball, or let's say NFR with rap, if it's all just negative stuff, why is it so dry? Oh, on to the next thing. What do you think his next sound's gonna be like? It's like, no, like, let's appreciate what we have here. Like, we have, for example, like, I think of, like, goddamn, I would love to see more love for Andre 3000 and something like that, because if you think about what he was able to bring to the table and just be such an all-encompassing artist, you know, in the midst of and still be able to represent that 2000s Atlanta rap, like, that stuff is incredible. Like, I don't know, like, just stuff like that. Just find something. What is it? There's a Mad Men quote that's really interesting. It's like, hey man,
We wasn't gonna
it
get away
depends
with
on
that one.
it depends on which ones. Like, if you're talking about, like, I believe I can fly, sure, but bump and grind on me, we're not.
Yeah, I
we're
fuck
not.
with the ladies, older and younger ladies.
Is it I did it? Is it I did it? Jose, you see if, like, a dude who was bumping I did it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Why they calling me
no.
pedophile, man? That's crazy.
R. Kelly was wilding in
Yo.
prison making those songs.
Who gave him a mic? Who let him cook?
Who let him cook? No, but I think all of that. You guys kind of get
Yes.
what I was trying to say
I
with that.
no, I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. It's
And then I think,
oh, go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, 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 no.
Yeah, no,
I was gonna,
it was on the same note of uh, like like the whole comment about this year, or or not or seeing albums as so like as content. That's what I was trying to say. As like, oh, like it's,
yeah,
it's like you listen to that. Okay, that's a piece of content. On to the next one. Okay, consume that content. On to the next. That's not how like music is supposed to be listened to. And it's really affecting both parties, I guess, the listener and the people making music. Is like people are making music to just be that moment where you're like, oh, like this is so crazy that he said this in this moment. Like that was a cool moment. Let me move on to the next thing, whatever. And so,
yeah,
but like when records were being made back in the '90s, early 2000s, they were trying to make records that would stand the test of time. Same with
yeah,
the '80s, '90s, from the '70s to the early 2000s. Like that was like the era of like people were still trying to make records, and they were trying, like, that's why I keep going back to old Tribe records. That's why I keep going back to Nas. That's why I go back to Jay Dilla's stuff, Outkast, like all of these people, Goody Mob, like all of these people were trying to do to make those records stand out. And because they had such limited tools, everybody who had the same drum machine, everyone had the same programs, everyone went to the same producers. It was like, how are you going to be creative in those limiting spaces? But now that everything is democratized, you and I in our own bedrooms can make an entire album, wink wink, then what is it that is gonna like have it stand the test of time, and not just be a
right.
piece of content that people like NFR, like Anthony Fantano, like Sean C can just sit there and tell you how to feel about it, So
Yeah,
I feel like that's a huge toxic part of like the music space that we're a part of, obviously, that we try and like see through the bullshit. But yeah, I feel like the moment we stop thinking like consuming music as content, and like we'll finally like we'll see people be like starting to go back to the albums, and go back to like making
mm,
records and like caring about the longevity of what they're doing. Um, and so,
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of like where I see it, and where I see like the flaws, and like how when people comment like, "Oh, music nowadays sucks," it's like, no, it doesn't, but at the same time, yes.
There's a lot. There's a lot for you to go. Yeah, which is why go back and check out some of the stuff that from past years that are super good. I think
Hmm.
of and it's really interesting that you say that. The second comparison I was gonna make, I was talking about basketball, all that stuff. But the second comparison I was gonna make is precisely what you touched on, which is kind of like the Marvelification, the
Hmm.
MCUification of everything, which is like, and look, I appreciate the MCU. I love my MCU. I don't talk about it as much just because I like to enjoy it and not have people just respond with like why it's bad for film and all that stuff, which
Yeah.
is like I agree with that, but also it's like I enjoy these characters, so I just kind of choose to enjoy it. But also it's like I can acknowledge that what they're doing to like say films is you know kind of it's not productive and it's not great in the bigger picture of it. Like now
Hmm.
it's like, okay, how does this movie feed into the next movie, and
Hmm.
how does that next movie feed into the next five movies? And now all people care about are the names that are attached to those films. Like is
Yeah.
it like what IP product are they gonna is attached to the movie? So and that kind of spills into music where it's like people don't necessarily love the music, they just love the name that's attached and why that name and how
Yeah.
that name chooses to progress through each album. Yeah, Matt looks disgusted
That
from
was
hearing about the
no. I
MCU.
did not mean to make a face or anything. I have resting bitch face, so you're just instigating.
Yeah, real quick. I've gotten this too. I feel like I come across very stern and very just like I hate life, which
Yeah.
is funny because if you know me, I'm not that, even though sometimes I am. Give me just like no emotion, Just stare
Just
right into the
this is my
camera.
neutral face.
Yeah. Ready?
And I feel like I'm looking kind right now is like what the worst part of that is.
Yeah. No, that's literally just us. Me being like, just thinking about what I'm gonna have for dinner. It's just like,
I have the worst. Yeah, no,
you
I have
know?
the worst, just like resting face. It's just like I just look pissed off. I'm like, I'm really not. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I must look so kind and approachable, and I literally like look like I don't want to be there. Like,
Yeah, no, it's the same,
which
same.
is
So I
not
feel
true.
that. But yeah, no. So all that to say is like, yeah, there's the contentification of everything. I think, and just kind of like how we can't people can't seem to just like appreciate something the moment for what it is. Oh, what am I gonna say? But like it's always the conversation NFR always seems to perpetuate is like, damn, this album is really good. What does it mean for his next album? Ooh, the sound. What
Right.
do you guys think the sound
It's the
could lean
same.
into after
It's
this?
the same people where it's like, what does this mean about LeBron's legacy? It's just like it's the same
Yeah,
people who are just always about like the brand of these artists or like
yeah.
the how it's gonna shift his narrative, like the narrative of Lil Yachty going forward, or like it's just
Mhm.
it's not all about that, bro. Like sometimes
Yeah.
people just make music, you know? Yeah.
Hey man, I enjoy the GOAT talk as much as anybody and all that stuff, legacy talk, and I love all that stuff. But sometimes it's just not it's just you just especially for them. Again, I'm like critiquing a platform that, you know, I'm very like I appreciate what they bring and I appreciate what they yeah, I feel like big picture they kind of run into similar they have a similar mission, which is like wanting to be a hub for
Mm-hmm.
conversation. But also it's like sometimes I hope I hope they change the way they approach some of the conversations they have because it's very approaching it from a commercialization
Mm-hmm.
aspect, like not appreciating the art for what it is. And yeah, Kitchen Boy just came in on just us sitting on our high horses. We promised we were talking about the weekend and Don FM and Jack Harlow a couple
Yeah,
minutes back.
a
We're gonna have to
little
run
you're
this
a little
back.
too late, unfortunately, Kitchen Boy. We are literally probably about to wrap up. But
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
worry, we had a great
Um,
conversation. You can go back and watch once the stream is done. But
yeah. Hey
yeah.
man, I'm really excited. As we're winding down here, I just want to talk about speaking of Marvel, and I know I just got done shitting on like what they've done for movie making as a whole, but goddamn, I'm really excited for Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. You know, that those movies have a very special place in my heart. I definitely remember my first time watching the first one, and also I'm gonna really enjoy hearing Reasons by Earth, Wind, and Fire in the movie.
Yeah,
So,
okay. Might have to see it just for that
I'm
moment.
yeah, no man, and I think James Gunn to me is as far as blockbuster film directors go, I think he's one of the best. He knows how to like give the blockbuster feel, but also really give genuine emotion, which is missing from I think a lot of
Mm.
Marvel movies. Especially from this past phase. Obviously, there some fun moments, some fun movies, but goddamn, like uh, there's a lot of just like AI generated movies, I think. But this one, I think, is gonna hit all the right notes.
Yeah.
It's a movie that this is the first time I've been super confident in a Marvel movie since like Into the
Mm.
Spider-Verse, like
Okay, okay,
or
okay.
not even Into the Spider-Verse because I was like I guess I just didn't know what to expect from that one,
Mm.
but yeah, no, I'm just very excited for to see how this whole thing's gonna end. We'll see how it goes. I've heard nothing but good things, so that's what I'm most looking forward to. How about you? You have anything you're looking forward to this weekend before we get into what's in our rotation?
This weekend, um looking forward to just chilling, honestly. Just been it's been a tiring week, so but I am trying to see a movie. I'm trying to see the new Ari Aster movie probably this weekend.
Oh,
Um
that looks crazy,
yeah,
crazy.
Beau is Afraid. I'm really excited to see that, so I think I need to secure those tickets. Um New Dune trailer dropped. I know Matthew David saw it. Bro, ride the worm. Ride the worm. That's all I'm gonna say until that fucking movie comes out.
That's a new
Excited for
big one.
that. Yeah, excited for
Right.
that.
No. What? Fuck
um,
yeah.
yeah, man. Nah, I'm excited. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just excited, just like hang out, chill, relax, do my thing.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, Darren asks, film of the year so far.
dude, I haven't seen all of them. It will be Barbie. I can tell you that. The films I'm looking forward to are not out yet. Um, I just know it will be the Barbie movie, and then
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're also getting what's crazy. This year is gonna be crazy for film actually because we're getting Greta Gerwig, Barbie. We're getting Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan. We're getting Asteroid City by Wes Anderson. We already have Beau is Afraid. That might be my number one after I see it. We'll see. Um, there's more, but there. Wait, isn't no, never mind. That might be next year. But yeah, it's looking good so
I
far.
got Yeah,
Um,
I got my answer clear cut, I think. So my number two is really enjoyed Creed 3.
mm.
Number one, without a shadow of a doubt, just like the most, ooh, just so well made in every single aspect. John Wick Chapter 4.
Oh,
That movie
see, I,
is,
I didn't see either of those,
oh,
bro. I'm sleeping on like the franchise movies.
yeah, no, I mean, John Wick, if you want to call it I guess it is a franchise because
Yeah,
they're about to do all the spin-offs, but goddamn, like the substance in that movie, the references, all the
damn.
like it's as much an ode to like just film as much as it is like an action movie. And also there's just the humor in it, it's so well crafted. As far to me it's like the perfect action film.
Yeah,
John Wick Chapter 4, the stakes you get motherfucking Donnie Yen,
yeah.
Ip Man doing this shit.
The It Man. Yeah,
Um come on, man. So
yeah. I need
for
to. I need
me,
to see that.
yeah, for me, film of the year, John Wick Chapter 4.
Nice.
Uh, so, but no, those films are gonna be incredible. I think 2023 is gonna be an
Yeah,
interesting year for
Dune,
film.
Spider Verse. Like, come on, bro. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a great year.
Let's get into what's in our rotation, man. What's in our
Yes,
rotation?
bro.
Who y'all got, Team Jose or Team Chip Fan? I'm riding with Chip Fan. I'm riding with Chip
Oh
Fan.
damn. Okay, I'll rap for Curry then. Curry, I got you.
Oh,
Uh
Curry or Team Jose?
oh no, it's Curry asked that. No, I'll rap for Jose. I'm gonna rap for Jose.
Okay. Okay.
I know this. I know he has bands, so I'm gonna rap for him.
I know Chip Fan be trying to cancel me, but
Yeah.
for some reason I'm choosing
Chip fan been
to
asking me to flick my tongue one too many times. All right.
I will give
um,
Chip Fan this. He does come through with the concerts, the pre-show concerts. If you
that's true.
guys
That's true.
would have come through like 30 minutes before our
Yeah.
stream start and just witness greatness, one of the
Karaoke.
greatest performers
Yeah.
we've ever seen.
You can
Shout out
go
Chip Fan.
go verse to verse with Chip fan 30 minutes before the stream, our little pre-show.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I have so many recs for you guys this week. I've been fine. Like I was really in a swing of just old throwback music, and now I'm finally like, okay, let's see what's new out. That's kind of more recent and yet still give me that same feeling. So I have a lot
Mm.
of amazing records for y'all. First off, um, didn't realize Toro Imoy dropped an album this year. Absolutely did
Mm.
not hear about that. That came out in January, but anything in
Yeah.
return by Toro Imoy. He's back on his electronic dance groovy funk vibes. Since Mahal was kind of the departure, I love Mahal, but anything in return by Toro Imoy is an absolute bop. Every song is a banger. Album art looks like that. I don't even know if you can see it, but Toro Imoy, love that man. I also am obsessed with this Charlotte Day Wilson record.
Mm.
I'm only known Charlotte Day Wilson from her features, especially with Bad Bad Not Good. But her personal record is, if you like Lana Del Rey, if you like Adele, if you like singer songwriter, beautiful voices, which I'm like, how can you not? Then you will really enjoy her record Alpha, by Charlotte Day Wilson. The song she has on here with Sid is incredible. It's I really just like haven't heard a record like that. She has an interlude with Daniel Caesar on here, which is like a 30-second cut that from
Wow.
Danny Caesar I've never heard of. She has another collaboration with Bad Bad Not Good. That's amazing. I think there is a deluxe version that has a couple new other tracks on there, but yeah, very intimate album. There's like a moment where the whole vibe switches to be a lot more fun. Like it's just a lot of
Hmm.
variety. Production's amazing. Her voice, I love her voice. So shout out to Charlotte Day Wilson. And then I've been really getting into Channel Trace recently.
Oh,
I don't
really?
think I've ever talked about him, but he does dance music, and I've been really into dance music, and I kind of stopped discovering it for a little while, and then I'm kind of back into it, thanks to Kate Termine getting me back into that vibe, just like remembering that it's gonna be summer around the corner, so getting
My
back into
most
the
anticipated album.
yes,
My most
yes.
anticipated.
So I'll give you two. If you want to check out his most recent EP that came out in February of this year, Real Cultural Shit by Channel Trace, and also Refresh by Channel Trace are two great dance albums. Put it on in the back, just
Oh,
bop for an hour. Really easy listens. Honestly, Real Cultural Shit's like 20 minutes, super quick. Refresh is like 35 minutes. If you feel like you want to start channeling those summer vibes early, go check out those records. But yeah, and then maybe I'll give you one more, last one, and I have to do a throwback, but Dummy by Portishead, 1994, iconic record. I just haven't had a chance to uh, listen to it until now, but yo,
hmm.
the beats on the like they got beats on this album, and I did not expect that from Portishead. It's like I thought they were gonna be like Pink Floyd, like rock inspired. It is, but it's like yo, like it goes hard. So check out. I know y'all, some of y'all have already heard of Portishead, but yeah, man. Travis Scott often cites Portishead as a huge inspiration to the drums that he uses
Mm.
uh, on his record. So yeah, those are my recs.
Oh, yo, the meat riding going on in the chat right now is
What's
crazy.
going on?
Jose, yo, yo, even
This is why Matt is cool and he be coolin'. Yes.
the dick riding is
Hey,
insane right
hey,
now.
hey.
The
I wouldn't call it that.
riding and bouncing, my goodness.
Damn.
Um, uh, great Rex, man, great Rex. I really like I really like some like the house stuff. I've been really also getting into house, so love that. Let's see. Ooh, I got some great recs for you guys. I recently had a nice, uh, lengthy, car ride home from. So I'm fresh off of that. So and some of the stuff I was listening to, getting back into some reggae vibes, man.
All right, all
Getting back
right.
into reggae vibes. The oh, my favorite reggae artist by far. Y'all got to check out. I think Curry would actually enjoy this if you're still going on that. If you're still going on that slow, lovey-dovey type vibe. Sammy Johnson is an incredible artist. Go check out some records. I Wanna Be
Mm,
and Moonlight Lovers off of the live acoustic sessions. Like
I like
some of the
it.
most soulful reggae you'll ever hear. Beautiful records. And then I'll give you another song, uh, R&B classic. If you guys are, this is what that real R&B is. Nah, this is great. Hours and Hours. It's spelled HRS. Hours and Hours by Muni Long. Just it just takes you back, man. It's a very sensual, sultry song, but and
Mm-hmm.
it's also just like a vocal masterclass. Like she's literally running the gamut of vocal ranges. So really enjoyed that. Muni Long. And then, and I was just telling Matt this before we got on. Listening to a good amount of music, movie soundtracks. So I was listening to Phantom of the Opera. Ooh, powerful songs.
Nice.
Think of Me. Obviously the titular song, Phantom of the Opera. Um, yeah, and then another uh movie soundtrack, the motherfucking. Speaking of Jackman, the motherfucking Greatest Showman. Ooh, ooh, it was just on the other day on the TV, and I found myself watching, and I was like, God damn, these songs are just hit after hit after hit, bangers after bangers.
Damn.
Zac Efron, Zendaya, Hugh Jackman doing what they need to do. So no, some weird choices, but that's what I was listening to recently. That's what's been my rotation. And also, if you guys want to know that in the moment, go follow us on Airbuds Widget, I think it's called.
Yes.
And tell them to sponsor us. Oh shit, yeah. And also 423. I haven't really been.
Yeah.
It hasn't been like in my rotation, but I listened to that. Really great stuff. Um, oh yeah, and then the first song off that, I think Once Upon a Time, is everything we stand for when it comes to AI versus human stuff. Like I know we didn't really get a chance to talk about it, but I love like the whole purpose of the album being like some of the notes and some of the moments on that album are kind of crazy. Like the notes the Weeknd reaches, the kind of piano
Crazy.
riffs that he does was in order to like prove the point of like, let me give you some shit that AI couldn't possibly recreate, and that's very beautiful, very well done. And 423, great album. Yeah, man. So I think again, yeah, please go ahead and follow us on the Airbuds. Like we love that app. I love that app. And I'd love to have more of you guys on there. Uh, Jose, literally nobody liked you until you give these dudes money.
Yo. All right.
Yeah,
Let's not be bullies.
this, what? Hey, Chip fan, hey, you're not wrong.
Hey. Okay. All right. That about does it for us.
Let's go, Team Chip fan. Chip fan.
All right. We're about to go watch this Warriors game. Yeah, I don't know why
Ooh.
y'all were questioning me for listening to Don FM on Airbuds. I was just doing my
Really?
research for this episode. They were like, "Why were you listening to Every Angel is Terrifying?" I'm like, y'all know because we were talking about it. Yeah.
Because I just really like listening to the poem.
Yes.
No,
Just
but,
that record.
But no, man. There you go.
Okay, Warriors 11-point lead at halftime. It's looking good. It's looking close, a little too close. Than I like.
I'll take it. Wow, Klay Thompson, 19 points. I love it. I love to see it. All right, y'all. I'm about to lock in.
All right.
It's go time. This Don F shirt. This Don FM shirt is about to turn into a Warriors shirt. You know what I'm talking about.
All right, I see it. Yes,
Dubs
sir.
in 6. Last time I said Dubs in 6, they went to 7, but fuck it, we're going with it. Dubs in 6. Steph Curry leading us. Leading all of us.
Jose, don't let them get to you, bro. Don't let them get to you. They just hating from down below. That's broke boy talk. They don't let them take you down. I haven't seen.
Hey, but we're home. You know what, Chip fam? Just keep being humble. Keep being humble. Like just keep grinding. We're from the trenches.
What no bitches does to a motherfucker. What no bitches does.
You may not have.
What no bitches does to a
You may
motherfucker.
not have the money, but you have the riz. You have the charisma.
Riz.
The qualities. I believe in you, Chip fan. I believe in you.
All right, we'll revisit this beef next week. Okay, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Warriors in 6. We'll see you later. Thanks for tuning in. Don FM, RIP. Jose, fuck these dudes. And on that note, fuck NFR. We'll see you later.